We're looking at creative industries in the developing world and asking the question whether these industries are growing as fast as they should and whether Africa is enjoying the same numbers that we're seeing in other parts of the world. To explore this case further, we are joined in our Cape Town studio by Carolina Quintana, Networking and Partnerships Officer at UNCTAD, and Bernard Bayakaya, Head of the Culture and Sports Department of the East African Community. Thank you so much for joining us. Caroline, let me perhaps come to you first and ask you to unpack for us the relationship between economic growth and creative industries.
Yes, good morning. I am reporting based on our research, and first I would like to say that Africa has a tremendous cultural heritage and high levels of creativity, as we have seen in different disciplines, such as in the film industry, in music, in art crafts, and design, and audiovisuals. So we believe that there is an untapped potential for using this creativity and talents of Africa in order to generate jobs and incomes and generate development.
Bernard, let me come to you. From your experience of having worked in the East African community in the culture space for such a long time, have you found that creative industries have the potential to drive social and human development indicators?
Correct. East Africa is endowed with a very rich cultural heritage, and we've noticed that this is where our people have a comparative advantage, and there is a latent potential, as my colleague has said, of these creative industries to create jobs, create incomes, if well harnessed. And partly that's why we in the East African community, we are working hard to ensure that we invest in these industries to develop them into viable economic sectors which can contribute to economic growth in our region.
Karen, let's perhaps pick up on the point that Bernard has made. Bernard has spoken about the creation of viable economic sectors. Do you, from your experience, feel that the policies at regional and continental level in Africa are adequately supporting creative industries so that they can become what Bernard calls viable economic sectors?
Well, I would like to say that first, we need to have the support of governments. I think this is very important. We need to support the arts through policy making from national to local level at the city level. And secondly, I have to say that despite all the talent and the creativity that is available here in Africa, I think we still need to instill more business sense. And in that context, I think that the associations and international organizations and the governments themselves should be supporting entrepreneurship, development skills, and helping them in opening new markets.
Of course, Caroline, I want to stay on that point with you before I come back to Bernard and speaking about the potential to create entrepreneurs out of the creative industries. I understand that the conference that you're attending brings together players from across Africa. What do these delegates leave with, and are they able to make the entrepreneurial opportunities across markets that are perhaps required to drive the industry across the continent?
I don't think I understood very well your question. So I think that this, yes.
Yeah, let me perhaps quickly repeat that and say that from your perspective, what are the entrepreneurs that are active players in the creative space taking away from the conference?
Well, I think that it's very important that the people that are attending this meeting get to network with each other, that they get to know what is on offer in terms of creative products or ideas or opportunities, if there are any potentials of collaboration, because Arterial Network, which is the platform that is giving us this opportunity, is facilitating this kind of contacts.
Bernard, let me perhaps come back to you with and look at the question of a viable market for creative goods. Are African artists across the creative industry finding that they have access to markets for their goods and services?
No, I think that there is a big problem in terms of access to markets, but I think that it's also related to the how should I say, the context of the international trading platforms that exist today, which is true that developing countries do have difficulties not only in accessing markets in the fields of creative industries, but also in other economic activities. So that is part of a reality that we need to work in.
Bernard, let's perhaps look at a very interesting trend that I've noted, which specifically around the music sector, where we've seen increasing collaboration between African countries, particularly if we look at the Nigerian music market increasingly collaborating with the South African music market. What is driving these inter-country collaborations, and do you think that there's scope to see more of this trend?
Well, I think the collaboration is coming into play because our artists have realized that that there is a need to cross-fertilize these products so that the consumers are able to appreciate more these products and be able even to sustain the market. I think gone are the days when they could do it alone and be able to sustain the market. Now the collaboration is what is helping them to sustain the upcoming market in Africa.
Bernard, let me quickly stay with you on this question. I want to look at the question of funding. Do creative artists across the industry battle to find funding for their products and services in order to take them to market?
I would say that this is one of the critical challenges that is facing our continent in terms of developing the creative industries. But what is happening now is that there are quite a number of interventions that are trying to assist to establish viable and sustainable financing mechanisms of public-private sector partnerships, which are geared towards supporting the creative industry in our region. I would like to point out that there are quite a number of projects on the continent, and even us in the East African community, we are started discussions to establish a regional trust fund, which is supposed to support public-private sector partnerships aimed at supporting the creative industries in our region.
Okay, very briefly, Carolina, I understand that you have been actively involved in the creative economy reports since 2008. In light of this, do you think that African governments and African markets are headed in the right direction when it comes to the economic potential for creative industries?
Well, I think that definitely these reports help to sensitize the governments about this economic potential, and we have been at the UN level trying to influence that. We still have to, we have been seeing different experiences, different actions taken in different countries. We have different levels of development within Africa continent. With different priorities. So I think that all of that conditions a bit whether these countries are really heading towards a more dynamic creative economy agenda. But definitely I think there is more awareness and especially more understanding about their contribution both socially and economically.